Dad, that was a silly ending, and it didn't even make any sense. You're terrible at endings.
I thought you liked silly endings. You and Chucky play the ending of Monkey Island 2 really silly.
That's different. We're kids, and we're just goofing around. You're the one who said you can't just change things. You said that's not how storytelling works.
I did?
I want to know the secret. You have to tell me what it was.
The secret was really the friends we made. No. It's better not to know.
Your mom was right. It was better not to know. What was exciting for me was imagining the possibilities and talking about them with other people. All that would end if I peeked inside the chest. So I didn't.
No, that's not what I meant.
Dad won't tell me what the secret is.
Are you filling our son's head with your outlandish stories again?
I was telling him the one about how we found the secret of Monkey Island.
Oh, that one. Every time you tell that story, the ending gets stranger and stranger. Let's go down to the docks and watch the galleon head out.
Yay!
I found the lost map to the treasure of Maya Island. It's going to be a fun adventure.
I'll meet you down there.
Oh yeah, I did take the key, didn't I? No, I think it's better to make it be don't get obsessed about things. Like, because that's the problem. That was the problem that Chuck had. He'd driven away kind of some of the really interesting characters we had. I think, so this is a point-and-click adventure game. There's not really much we can talk about with mechanics and anything like that. I mean, I would have liked, they could have put in a bit more combat. I think I kind of would have preferred it if it had been about, he ends with, it's better not to be obsessed, because Elaine's right. Like, he has destroyed so much. They just showed the mop tree. So he destroys the mop tree, which is part of the economy of Melee Island. He's cost Wally his home, which I would have liked to have saved Wally at the end. Thank you very much. He destroys the government of Bermuda. He does all these things, seeking the secret Monkey Island, and just that moment of, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm gonna do something else. Secret of Monkey Island has consumed me for 2 out of 6 games. It's not an obsession. Stop it. I think my other problem with this was it didn't really acknowledge the other games. Morgan Le Fay, okay, so she's in the story, you can tell. But she's not, like, she's the Voodoo Lady. The Tales of Monkey Island set up Voodoo Lady as the villain of the next game. Where's that? Like, that would be interesting, and especially, sadly, with the voice actor for LeChuck dying, I believe, between the games, it gives you, that requires you to do something slightly different. You either recast LeChuck, or you just go, okay, LeChuck's not the villain. And I think it would have been more interesting to have done that, because it felt a little bit like there were times where they were trying to repeat other elements. And I don't think that works. I don't think that really worked for what we would... yeah. I think there were bits and pieces from all kinds of other games. As I said, just walking in, the Captain Madison thing, and she just disappeared. Was the character? She'd bought up a lot of land in Melee Island, and that caused a lot of shops to close. Herman Toothrod is still Herman Toothrod. Is one of the problems that doesn't acknowledge Escape. Madison owning everything is a retread of Escape. Ending back in a theme park, Curse of Monkey Island. I think there was a lot of... They could have done some more stuff with it, and I think in a way that would have worked a bit better. Captain Madison just disappeared. Like, they could have written out the 3 replacements to the pirate leaders and written them out completely. And I don't think the story would have really had an impact other than they're a bit horrible and they don't really like Guybrush. Okay, that would have required slightly different puzzles to get the map. To get the map that pointed us to the voodoo ladies, the voodoo shop. But, like, Captain Madison didn't really have an impact, is my thought, really. Was it Captain Lila had more of an impact? And they hint that Madison's died despite Guybrush's son being like, ooh, Captain Madison, she was this great hero, you served with her? Like, well, kind of. Yeah. So she's died, but she's also known in the future, which means that this story doesn't make sense. And I think it also, the problem of having this be a story is, first of all, you get the occasional interlude from the son being like, oh, this happened. Oh, no, it didn't. And he's kind of prompting the expectations. Sometimes the expectations that the player has, and admittedly, there are a few times where I was like, oh, is this what we're doing? And then he goes, oh, is this what happened? And Guybrush goes, nope. This is what happened instead. But it just kind of, it takes you out of the game. Rather than going, here is this change to what you might be expecting, it kind of went, it kind of took a break. It cut up the action. So I didn't really like that style. It also means that going backwards is not only are we saying that Curse of Monkey Island, Escape from Monkey Island, and Tales from Monkey Island didn't really happen, we're also saying that this game didn't happen, and that Monkey Island 2, we know didn't happen as we played it. Exactly the same way, because that was, I think Boybrush popped up in the credits, maybe that's his name. Boybrush and Chucky, they were playing the game. And that then develops into... they were playing it as a game, and they had tweaked the ending. Because, oh, you like the silly ending. So they had tweaked it quite a bit, but we don't know what bits were real, what bits weren't. And all of a sudden, the canonicity of the entire series is now up in the air. Because, yeah, I don't really like that kind of idea. Because it basically says the only game that we know happened is Secret of Monkey Island. And the rest, who knows? So yeah, so I'm not happy with that. Overall, I think the thing is, I think for the most part the game is fun, and I think if you took out the sections with, what was his name again, Boybrush, if you took out those sections throughout the game, I think just ending it the way we ended, where Guybrush takes the key but decides not to open the chest, kind of giving up that obsession but still kind of holding on to it possibly, but then going with Elaine, I think is quite interesting. The whole idea of obsession driving people to be destructive, I think is a really interesting thing to explore. And I think if they'd done more things like that, like, I don't know, like Terror Island didn't really have that, but Bermuda did. Bermuda had it. Getting Fisher's key was like that. Whitey's no, Terror no. What was the other one? I've already forgotten what the other one was. It's only been the last few days because I've just blitzed through this. What was the other gold key? I can't remember exactly which one that was. Was that one I got fairly early? Maybe. But yeah, so it would have been good to have touched on it maybe a bit more, like Guybrush becoming destructive to tell that story. But you could have done a similar thing with Guybrush being a positive power by having Voodoo Lady wanting to hold on to her power, and you having Morgan Le Fay kind of having things repeat. So the elements of here that are kind of copies of what happened in Secret Monkey Island, or, well, callbacks and repeats, you can have that happen because the Voodoo Lady has cast this temporal spell, and Morgan Le Fay is now positioning herself in this kind of time loop as Guybrush's like first mate and whatever, which then leads to Guybrush having a chat with her about obsession and the fact you've got to let go. But I think that would have been better, just having that kind of theme of having to let go. Which it kind of did, but then at the end it's like, oh, you should have found what the secret was. And Guybrush destroys it in the end. Okay, I like that. I like that. Okay, I like that he's still, because he's got all at the key, he chooses to basically go and throw it back into the lava. Okay, what's new in the scrapbook?
Hey, want to see my mighty... Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a...
Alright, okay, so...
Wait, what's this?
Hang on.
We chased LeChuck.
Oh, this is... So, okay, let's see what it says now.
Oh, here's that voodoo doll from the end of my Big Whoop adventure. These are from the time I found the secret of Monkey Island.
Well, I didn't actually, but...
I started my voyage at the Scum Bar, but right away I could tell it wasn't going to be like old times. The new pirate leaders were focused on sacking and pillaging, but plunder stats aren't everything. I learned more than I ever wanted to know about mops.
Yeah, this is true.
I made the unusual decision to join LeChuck's crew as a way to get to Monkey Island. Serving on LeChuck's ship was an interesting experience.
I think we got on with people. We made friends.
Gullet was my supervisor. Not a very pleasant guy. I grew to like the crew. I forgot all about looking like a zombie and starting a mutiny and seizing the ship. My disguise held up great, right up until we were nearing Monkey Island, when it, well, there was a failure.
Is it because you took it off?
The actual return to Monkey Island was not what I expected. We all thought the secret would be on the island somewhere. Everybody had a map, some more useful than others.
True.
The temporary pact I made with my enemies turned out to be about 5 minutes more temporary than I had hoped. Elaine and I rebuilt my old ship, the Sea Monkey, so we could sail back to Melee. It was a race to get to the secret first.
Can I look at each person?
I hunted down all 5 golden keys. I wonder if I was supposed to keep these. LeChuck teamed up with Madison, but that was never going to last. Madison was scheming to betray LeChuck.
Mm-hmm.
Lila was scheming to betray Madison and LeChuck. I'm not sure Trent ever thought very far ahead.
No.
Whitey Bones told me all about the golden keys. Elaine had a lot on her plate, but she was with me in the end.
Ah.
Carla handled earthquake relief as best she could under the circumstances. I broke Stan out of prison. Wally was kidnapped.
And we couldn't rescue him.
The voodoo lady disappeared. I unseated the reigning queen to become the last queen of Bermuda. I visited Herman Toothrot in his cozy hermit cave. We chased LeChuck back to Monkey Island again, and I tracked him down. I found Wally. I made this mock-up of the final puzzle. I think it's pretty neat. Elaine held off Flare Gory while I went into the monkey. Someone had devised a series of themed pirate monkey puzzles to keep out the unworthy. Wait, what's this?
R&D, like Ron and someone. Oh, good grief. 18th of June 2020. Development won't start for another month or so, but we've been thinking about this for a while. Seems like a good time to jot down a few thoughts and then stash them away as a sort of time capsule message to our future selves about what we're setting out to do with Return to Monkey Island. Who knows, we might learn something. Monkey Island has historically been a reflection of the lives of the people who made the games. Not so sure about that. Secret of Monkey Island was about a young person setting out to pursue an exciting new career. As designers in our 20s, that is what we all were. Right, yeah, Monkey Island has historically been a reflection of the people who made the games. You only talk about the first 2. Like, there are other games. The sequel, LeChuck's Revenge, was in many ways about the difficulties of making a sequel. No, it wasn't. The game wasn't. Or at least about what one does immediately after something that felt like a great success, but which went unnoticed by most of the world at large. Many years later, after Guybrush had gone on a couple of adventures with other teams who had their own hopes and challenges, we set out to make Tales of Monkey Island as a story about trust. And it is, but what jumps out at most of us is that it feels like a story about grown-ups. Couldn't you have... Right. Because that's what we were, many of us in our 40s by then with children and lives in a lumpy, encrusted layer of experience. We are well into our 50s now, we've had lengthy careers, we've made a lot of games, but Monkey Island still defines us to a certain degree, or at least, in the minds of many, we are those guys who made that game a long time ago, and it feels like there's some unfinished business there. When the opportunity arose to come back to Monkey Island, you had already come back! You told us you did Tales! When the opportunity arose to come back to Monkey Island, we were pretty much on the same page as to what we wanted to do. Guybrush, like us, is older now. He's had a long and reasonably successful career. But he's mostly associated with something that happened a long time ago, and that feels unfinished to him. What, saving Elaine? Like, this is the thing. Secret of Monkey Island is not a big part of the Secret of Monkey Island. The game is a goofy pirate adventure, the same as always, but also it's a story about trying to recapture the past with all its alleged youthful strength and glory. Guybrush will both succeed and fail at this. He will sort of get what he wants, but it won't be what he expected. I predict the same for us. I kind of, because that, I think, I like the fact we destroyed the key in the end. I think that fits. Oh, that was an interesting. Right, okay, we're going to load and see what they actually give us. What do they actually give us in the end? Because we have the key.
Interesting.
I found the secret.
I found the secret of Monkey Island, and all it was this stupid T-shirt.
Yeah, like you can't. I mean, he's right. What he says to Boy Brush is he cannot do better. He cannot. It can't be better. It's been built up for so long in Guybrush's mind that he's got to find it. He's got to find it. It's not going to be big. It's not going to be great. I think that's a bit silly, but then again, I think having a game, they said 20 years on. It might be more than that, 20, 30 years on. About finding the secret of Monkey Island. I think it's too late. No one cares. We care about Guybrush and Elaine and to an extent LeChuck and what they're doing. We don't care about the secret of Monkey Island. Monkey Island is in many ways the least important part of the Monkey Island series. So, I mean, I think that's a bit silly, but let's see what he says to Boybrush. Let's see what he says. And we'll switch everything off. I mean, I think this is a silly ending with the whole kind of theme parky type thing, but the choosing not to open it in the end, I think really fits, and I really like. So we'll see what happens here. Can I show her the t-shirt?
Not sure how I feel about this being the secret.
No matter what it was, could it have ever lived up to your expectations? On the bright side, it's 100% pre-washed cotton.
Glass half full. That's why I married you. I'm ready to go.
Good. Me
Does this change the ending? I mean, I assume not, because we're not going to throw the key into the lava this time.
Dad, that was a silly ending, and it didn't even make any sense. You're terrible at endings.
I thought you liked silly endings. You and Chucky play the ending of Monkey Island 2 really silly.
That's different. We're kids, and we're just goofing around. You're the one who said you can't just change things. You said that's not how storytelling works.
I did?
I want to know
that is
the
how storytelling
secret.
works.
You have to tell me what you really found in the chest.
Yeah, I wasn't making anything up. That was what really happened. Just why the child interrupts.
Whoa, I wasn't making anything up. That was what really happened.
Mom? Dad won't tell me what the secret is.
Are you filling our son's head with your outlandish stories again?
I was telling him the one about how we found the secret of Monkey Island.
Oh, that one. Every time you tell that story, the ending gets stranger and stranger. Let's go down to the docks and watch the galleon head out.
Okay, so this is just the same.
I found the lost map to the treasure of Maya Island. It's going to be a fun adventure.
I'll meet you down there.
Okay, so this is just the same. Slightly disappointing. I'll see what I'll play through the credits, but I'll cut them out for you, and we'll see because we've just gone through them, and we'll see what happens in the post credits bit if they've got something else. Because we didn't pull out the key this time, so we'll see what the post credits are. Well, that one was less interesting. We got a couple of tickets from being a part of the... I don't know, what was it? The fair? I don't know, is that the fair from the story, or the fair from the framing device with Guybrush and Boybrush? I don't know. And I think the first one where we chose not to, I think was a bit of a better story. And the throwing away of the key, I think, rejecting his obsession, I think makes sense. And I think it fits. It'll be interesting to see if there is another Monkey Island game, whether it follows on from this game, and which ending, because those are a couple of different endings. Did Guybrush give up on the secret? Did he take the secret? I don't know if there's other endings. I don't know what else we could have done. Maybe it's just those two. Or if it's going to also include elements from the other games. Maybe if there's another game, we'll get Morgan back. But only time will tell. And similarly, only time will tell what game follows this one. But that'll be up to my Patreon backers as they vote. But I will hopefully see you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching.